Hello everybody, I'm Maxi. Welcome to a new episode. The lesbian slang video you asked for is here. I've consulted my lesbian friends, I've done my research online, it has been very educational, I learned a lot. And I hope this video can make your lesbian visit here much more enjoyable. And I hope whoever watched this video who is not a lesbian feel as educated as I do after this. But we have to make this clear. I apparently can by no means have any first-hand experience in this, so this episode can definitely not be as watertight as the gay slang video. So if anyone watching this video have any lesbian friend from China, please share this video to her and let her comment here. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so first, how do you say lesbian here? So the relatively formal word to use is 女同. This literally means female homosexual. If you use this word, of course people understand you, but this, how should I say, this word feels very distant, almost borderline academic. It's almost like you are talking about a subject for research instead of your friends. So that's why this is not the go-to word you would hear people use to describe their lesbian friends. And then the most common word to say is la la. It's developed from the pronunciation of lesbian, and then we make it sound nicer, cuter. So la 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 la. This is the most common word for lesbian in everyday conversation nowadays. And when people talk about a lesbian friend they have, usually they use this one, la la. And then from this word, there is now an even more casual version, and it's 拉子. And if you have been already learning Chinese for a while, I think you already know that putting 子 behind is a way to soften the name of something. My lesbian friends now use this to refer to themselves. And then there is another word that is even cuter but not so mainstream, and that is 小鸡仔. This has the same pronunciation as the word 小鸡仔, which means little chicken baby. And why is there now a word like this? Well, this needs some long explanation. So first, we invented a word to describe gay relationship, gay love, gay affair, and that is 激情. This has the same pronunciation as 激情, which means passion. So together, this became a joking way to call gay relationship, gay affair, gay love, while implying there is something steamy, uncontrollable happening. And as for why the character 鸡 became to mean gay, that's because in Cantonese it's pronounced as gay. That's how it started. But in Mandarin we pronounce it as 鸡, so we invented 激情. And after this, some people decided to use the third 鸡 to create 激情 to mean lesbian relationship, to make this a whole series. By the way, the character 鸡 is an ancient word to mean beautiful women. So, because of this chain of events, there is now also the word 小鸡仔 to mean lesbian. Okay, so what subtype names are there in the lesbian world here? So first, unlike the gay slang we talked about, the lesbian subtype names are not as developed here as the gay slang, and the words for the basic subtypes are not even Chinese. So for the basic of the basics, we have T, P, H. These are three words to describe a lesbian's appearance, and they are from English. T means tomboy, so it's a lesbian with a masculine appearance, and P means pretty girl. That's the feminine lesbian. And then H means half, which means can switch between tomboy and pretty girl or doesn't really care which type she belongs to. Remember that in the gay slang we have 0 and 1. Now lesbians have T and P. So you can see the homosexual world here in China is obsessed with computer science. Together we have 0101 TP-Link. Anyway, T, P, H are used to describe a lesbian's appearance. And then you can add words before them to describe this person's personality or traits. For example, the most common subtypes we can see are 爷娣, 娘娣, 姐娣, 奶娣, 铁娣. There are a lot of subtypes for T's, but not many for P's. So first, 爷娣. 爷 here means masculine, real man. So Ye is a lesbian with a feminine look but a very masculine personality. And the opposite for it is Niang Ti. Niang here means feminine, so a Niang Ti is a tomboy but with very feminine personality. And then Jie Ti. Jie means elder sister. So a Jie Ti is a tomboy that acts like your elder sister, like taking care of you or something. And then Nai Ti. Nai literally means milk, but here it's a way to describe very young in appearance, borderline teenager. So a Nai Ti is a T that looks almost like a teenage boy, and many times not very tall, and in some cases they may even act like a little brother. That's a Nai Ti. And then the last one, Tie Ti, a good one. Tie means iron, the metal iron. So a Tie Ti is a tomboy that deep down is very masculine, ultra masculine. According to my source, a Tie Ti basically deep down sees herself as a man, and she is always the dominant one in the relationship, and she doesn't want her partner to touch her vagina during sex. That is the most strict definition for a Tie Ti. But this word now has some new meaning even outside of the lesbian world. Now some people use this word as a way to replace masculinity, because they don't like that most positive traits are usually attributed to masculinity, to real men, like independent, generous, brave, or savvy with machines. So they now use Tie Ti instead of saying things like masculine, like a real man. It's not a mainstream phenomenon at all, but it's happening. You can even hear some straight girls or even men using this word when bragging about some positive deeds they have done. Anyway, to avoid saying things like a real man. Actually, nowadays when you hear like a real man, it's more likely to be a joke. Tie Ti is the future. And remember to pronounce the T on the tone 4. T, Tie Ti. That is the most authentic flavor. Okay, those are TPH to describe your appearance. And then for the dynamic in the relationship, lesbians here can use the same pair as the gays here, Gong and Shou. Gong means attack, the dominant one, and Shou means accept, the passive one. So, by principle, TPH and Gong Shou are two separated dimensions. One describes your appearance, one describes the dynamics in the relationship. But according to my research, the lesbian world here seems to be more confused than the gay world. It seems many lesbians themselves don't really know how to categorize themselves. So some lesbians also use T and P to mean the dominant and accepting one in a relationship. For example, again, according to my source, the now most popular subtype in the lesbian world here is 长发姐弟. That's long hair elder sister T. I mean, when you hear long hair, it's already not a tomboy look, right? But they categorize this as a T too. So apparently the T here is describing the dynamics instead of the look. It can be confusing, yes. Actually, there is now a trend of de-tagging in the lesbian world here. Some people find it problematic to be so obsessed with the difference between T and P, or to be obsessed with categorizing T's in the first place. They think this deep down means you still think a heterosexual relationship is the only right thing to do. And because of this and many other reasons, TPL is not so popular as it used to be. Now you see more PPL. Oh right, yes, the lesbians here use abbreviations like this to describe a relationship: TPL, PPL, TTL. L here means lesbian. Okay, then a interesting part about the lesbian world here is that they have more interesting euphemisms than the gay world here. There are some common words to mean a lesbian relationship, but you cannot tell that they mean lesbian relationships just by looking at them. So the most common one is 百合. It means lily, the flower lily. This is adopted from Japan because in Japan, at least from what I know, the flower lily is used to mean lesbian manga. First, it's because rose is used to mean gay manga, and then they decided to use another flower to mean lesbian manga, and they chose lily. And then China adopted this. So now here, you can use 百合, lily, to mean anything related to lesbian. For example, 百合漫 means lesbian manga, and girl sending lily to another girl can have some special meaning here. And then after this, we now invented a even more far-fetched word to mean lesbian things, and that is 菊味. It means tangerine flavor. Actually, it was originally meant to mean citrus flavor, the family name of the fruit. But we didn't want to write too many characters, so we shortened it, and now literally it means tangerine flavor. Again, this was developed from the manga world. There was a hit lesbian manga with a name similar to this, so now people use 菊味 to mean lesbian things. So you can say things like, I'm tasting something tangerine here. And that means, I'm sensing something lesbian-y here. And I think nowadays I see people use 菊味 instead of 百合 to mean lesbian things more and more. So now it's more common to see lesbian mangas being called 菊味漫画 or 菊味漫 instead of 百合漫. And besides these two, there is another older word to mean this, and that is lesbian. I think you can already see it's developed from the pronunciation of lesbian. And the word lesbian literally means lace tape. You can also shorten it to just lace, that means lace. It used to be the most common word, but now it feels a little bit outdated. So in general, I think you can say the lesbian words here are usually not that direct as the gay words, not so graphic. Okay, that is today's video. Again, I hope it's helpful. So if you like this video, if you like what I do, please like, hype, subscribe, or join my membership program to support this channel financially. I really need some financial support. The join button is under this video if you have already subscribed, or it's on my channel homepage. So join. Anyway, thank you all for watching this far. I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.